Hi, I'm Jess. If we haven't met before, welcome to my channel. I'm an artist, entrepreneur, and empty nester, and I'm here to share with you the paths I took to follow my dream. Top 7 tips for getting into the creative flow, even when you don't feel like it, and we all know what that looks like. So here are my top 7 tips, starting with number 1. Have your space ready. There's nothing like walking into a dirty studio or a dirty corner that's your creative space that's just like, oh, you're trying to get into the creative flow and then you have to clean. So make sure the night before, if morning sesh is your jibe, then have your space clean, have your brushes ready, even have your canvas gessoed and primed, which is really motivating because you can just get started. Tip number 2, start simple. When I'm just not feeling it, I sit and have my coffee and I look on Pinterest, or I look at my folders of inspo on my phone that I've saved, different screenshots I've grabbed. I just start simple. I just start kind of getting the creative juices flowing if I'm not already working on a painting and don't know what I'm going to do. So, which is always the most challenging part of the creative process, right? A blank canvas. In addition to that, I like to listen to meditation music in the morning and just stretch and just kind of like get my spirit down to the level of, or not down, but in the level of creativity. And not always easy, but every little bit helps when you just want to have a really good creative day. Say you cleared the whole day, so just jumping in and maybe like getting frustrated, it's nice to go through a few rituals to get you in the mood. Also, set the mood. This is tip number 1/B. I light a candle, I have my coffee, I do a bit of sun salutation on my yoga mat, and have my intentions for the day, and just that like spiritual ritual really kind of helps me to go. My favorite quote is intention equals results. So if you can set your intention versus having the day guide you on its own, it does help. My 3rd tip is to set a 15-minute timer. Now, this sounds kind of weird. You're like, oh, you're kind of tricking your brain. So if you're having a hard time getting started, or you feel all that resistance setting in, which we all know what it is, that kind of inner battle with ourselves of fear of failure combined with confidence, it's just a mixed bag, and we've all been there. But I like to set a 15-minute timer and just start doing things knowing that there's an escape at the end, to like take a break at the 15-minute timer. But then what I've noticed is after a couple 15-minute timers go off, I'm already in the flow and I just turn it off. So it's kind of tricking your brain to get started. I think getting started is sometimes the hardest thing. Similar to like going for a run. It's cold, you're just waking up, you don't want to do it. So that really helps me for getting in the flow. And then once you're in the flow, say you hit it, you find little moments throughout the creative process where you're stuck, or you're staring at your artwork for a long period of time and can't solve it, which can be frustrating, right? Go for a walk. Just go for a simple walk and go water the garden, go play with your pet, whatever it is that you do, throw in a thing of laundry or something. Just break it up a little bit and then, give a good stretch and get back into it. Okay, my next tip is give yourself some grace. So if you're really not feeling it on a particular day, well, time to start over and get back to creative brainstorming. There's no failure in creative brainstorming, which is why it's a tip to get into the creative flow. So maybe you need to go for a walk with your camera and just get inspired and find things that you love, or start looking at other art styles that you're interested in. Sometimes just like there's an aha moment waiting to be discovered and you just need to explore it. And the nice thing about brainstorming and just saying, you know what, I'm gonna take this day, instead of getting into it and getting frustrated, I'm just gonna like take a step back and figure out what my plan is here. How am I gonna approach this? What kind of series am I gonna do? What's my subject matter? What am I interested in? What do I wanna further my skill in? Sometimes I get inspired by a certain artist and then I just want to produce something, similar, which is great. You're not copying, you're actually getting inspired by their style. And your style usually doesn't look exactly like that particular inspiration, but it does get you into a different kind of approach than maybe you would normally. And it also challenges your brain. At one point, I was really into doing ocean scenes with little people in them. And, you know, I did live in Kauai for a year, so this was part of it. But I was just determined to paint this certain style of drippy, and I couldn't quite get it. After working on this one painting for many, many months and kind of reverting back to it time and time again, I finally ended up going in a totally different direction, and the painting sold. It was funny when I just kind of let go of the attachment to try to make it a certain style, then it kind of created its own style. So if you're not feeling it, just use the day for creative exploration. All right, friends, my camera just died, so I'm gonna finish this up with the iPhone. My last tip is the main ingredient for successful creativity really is having grit and having commitment and showing up. So keep at it, because over time, you'll find your own rituals, you'll find your own habits, and you'll find what works for you.